Hi everybody, welcome back, welcome to just how you doing? I'm Jimmy from Jimmy's Neighborhood Bees, and I got a bee inside. Anyway, and I'm keeping bees in a regular suburban backyard in Central Virginia, just south of Richmond, and so I'm just here to show that hey, this is what I do in a regular neighborhood. You can do things that'll help with pollination and pollinators and everything like that as well, even if you don't have the big out bee yards and 5 acre, 10 acre plots, whatever. Anyway, couple of announcements, couple of things I wanted to say before I get started with today's video, which will be about making my extra long sidebars for my frames, for my XL frames. First of all, I want to say thank you to Tim and Hanna from Gunline Bees. The other couple of weeks ago, they did a live thing on YouTube, and they were giving away gifts and a random drawing. Well, I got selected for a random drawing, and it was this coffee mug, and it says "Let your love flow." And I don't know. Let's get the cup. Let your love flow. Beautiful cup. It's oversized too. It's huge. Anyway, I don't know who designed this cup. I guess I could ask them and look, but I wanted to thank them for actually the opportunity to win. I follow them, and you can too, and I'll link a description down in the bottom for Gunline Bees. But they just put it in this random thing, and my name popped up, and I was surprised, pleasantly surprised. So thank you for that. I got it in the mail, and I wanted to show it online before I send them a personal email. But I'm going to send them a personal email thanking them again, in case they don't see this video. Okay, so that's the cup action. Let's read today's fortune, though. Today's fortune is, it says, every person is the architect of his own fortune. Every person is the architect of his own fortune. Okay, there you go. That's today's fortune from Fortune Cookie Wisdom, the book. So, right off the bat, I do want to thank all of my subscribers, all the people who ask questions, make comments. You could share it if it's something that interests you and you may think it may benefit or interest or help someone else. Please, by all means, do all of those things. And that's it for that aspect. Some of the sharp-eyed people see my other book here that I wrote called Set Sail Caribbean. This book was about a sailing trip I went on, five months from Virginia here all the way to the Caribbean. We island hopped all the way down to Grenada. Stopping at different islands for a week here, a week there, snorkeling, whatever, just all the way down and all the way back. And it talks about some of the different islands and the different adventures that happened during that trip. We get a little bit emotional, but I was on this trip. The boat, sometimes you see in the background. We used to keep it at a marina. I took it out when I had shoulder surgery. And then I also had some motor work done at a shop. So they had it at the shop. Had the bottom painted done at the shop. So anyway, so I got a few more things to do before it goes back in the water. I'm just procrastinating. I'm slow. I know all of that. Anyway, the guy in the marina, and this is his boat, or this was his boat, he'd sold it, but it's a 47-foot sailboat, a Hylas. At the time, I was 47 years old. He was 77 years old. But I just got word yesterday that he passed away. He passed away on the 15th of June, which was Thursday, this past Thursday, that morning. He was 89 years old. He suffered from dementia. I put a couple of pictures of him and I. He got to see the book. And when his wife would read the book to him, all of the memories would come back. I don't know how many of you know about dementia, but sometimes you lose different parts and different aspects of your memory. And for him, sometimes it was, he lost a lot of his memory, things that happened in the past. However, when you brought up this sailing trip and this boating trip, it came back like it happened a week ago. So I was a little sad about all of that, and I still am, but I'm happy to have been a part of his life and to help him realize the trip that he wanted to take one last time, which, you know, in the book I said we helped each other. We needed what each other had, and to this day, you know, he's like family. And his grandson, who's also in this book, was the one who called me, and then his wife called me Sandy. So I just wanted to thank him for being who he was. He was a Navy veteran. He was a pilot, went to the Naval Academy, flew in Vietnam, actually was shot down, but he made it feet wet, and he got rescued, so he was never captured. But anyway, couple of he was a reconnaissance pilot. I forgot which plane he flew, but anyway, took pictures, and one of his famous pictures was on Time magazine. Anyway, so he lived a full life. I'm a minister captain, and his real name, in the book, I named him Alfred, but his real name is Ejnar, which is a Danish name. And so yeah, anyway, so that's it. I was a little, I get teary-eyed or choked up when I talk about it, but I thank him for what he did for us. Okay. Anyway, today I'm going to be cutting some of the side pieces that I need to make my frames. My side pieces are 15 3/4 inches long. I cut these blanks the other day, and I'm going to put that in video first of me cutting the blanks. And then today, my goal is to cut the notches for the bottom bar and the top bar. And then what I do is I cut it here in the center, cut it here in the center. They're two different sizes. And I have a flat, little small table router that I'll use. Sometimes I use, when I didn't have the table router, I used the straight table saw and just whittled away at the lines. But so that I did that. But now I cut it, and then I put it on the table saw, and I slice each one out. And then I go back to the router, and I route out just a little piece of the bottom where you have that little notch in your side pieces. Let me show you. This is a medium, a deep. This is a deep side. So basically, I would cut, got delivery. I would cut the notch for the top, and then the bottom here would be centered as well. And then when it comes time to cut out, I use my router again and just cut out from here and here once they're split down. But I'll show you all the steps that I go through just to make my side pieces. I have a couple that I keep as templates, so just to give myself a little whatever. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to be doing with this. I've got 7 blanks here. This one is what was left over from the 10-foot piece that I cut to make my blanks, and so I use this as a test piece first. And if it works and everything lines up with the test piece, then I cut the real pieces. So let me get my table router set up outside and get you guys out there so you can see what I do. Okay, real quick, I got to build some more of my XL frames, and so for that I'm going to need some blanks. My XL frames are 15 3/4 inches long. All I build is the sidebars. Yeah, let me turn you around. All I build is the sidebars. So what I'm going to do is take this, it's a 2x6 that I've had stored under here for some reason I didn't use it or didn't need it or whatever. So I'm gonna turn that, and I think it's 12 feet. I don't even know how long, but I'm gonna turn that 2x6 into my sidebar blanks, as I call them, and then I'll turn those blanks into sidebars. So I'm gonna pull this out and cut it up into blanks. Okay, I'm gonna show you this quick woodworking tip. It's something that I do when I gotta make a lot of measurements and I'm using a tape measure. I have my tape measure here on my hip. Instead of picking it up, putting it down, losing it, you move it, pick it up, you forget, it's over there. I leave it on my hip. When I gotta measure something, I pull it out, I measure what I gotta measure, cut what I gotta cut, let it go. Then I go to the next one, pull it out, measure what I gotta measure. You can measure long, whatever, put it back. So that's just a tip for somebody who's used to working alone, or you gotta make repetitive cuts, because I don't have a stop fence on this saw. It's not long enough to where I can set a stop block at 15 and 3/4 inches and just slide it to the block, stop, cut it, and all of them. I got to measure every single one of them. So, which is no big deal. And even if they're off of 1/8 of an inch each, it's no big deal. It's beehive, it's not, and actually it's just frames. So 1/8 of an inch here or there, longer, shorter, whatever, or even 1/16 of an inch, they'll be within specs, let's just say that. But that's what I do when I make multiple measurements. Pull it out, put it back. Leave it on, don't take it off until I'm finished for the day. Anyway, as just a tip, let me go ahead and measure off some of these blanks. Had to talk to my neighbor. Anyway, yeah, so right now, this would be 4 blanks, and I think I could get 3 more blanks out of the other half. I just cut it in half, make it a little bit more manageable, but I didn't want to waste much, so did a little measuring. But yeah, so, and then out of these blanks, I think I can get 8. So I might have enough for, I don't know, 50 frames. I'll count it up at the end. Anyway, I'm gonna cut these. So from that, I've got 7 blanks, and if I can make, let's see, 2 for a frame, 8. I think I can get 5 frames per blank. So you're looking at 35 frames or so, but I'll find out. I'll look. Okay, I'm set up out here on my barrel. I have my test side pieces. These are the standards that I have. I didn't use them because they had a knot in them. I have 2 in case I lose one, but I wrote on them standard for my XL frames, the side pieces. And then I have the blanks. I have a few other things that I use that make this a lot easier. This is like it could be a depth gauge. If you put this on your table saw and raise the blade up to here, then you got a 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 inch wide here if you need to measure something a 1/2 inch. So I use my depth gauges to get the right height. I got these on Amazon. They're not sponsored. I just found some. I have router bits, a router bit set. It looks fancy, but it was cheap. And I'm not sure where I got this. I think it was Amazon as well. None of this is sponsored. There's no affiliate links because I don't have affiliate links. But what I use is a straight cutting bit. It depends on the size, 3/8, 1/2 inch, 5/8. I'll measure it. And what I'll do is I take the template that I got and I'll either measure it up, which I don't have one that's the correct size. So I'll have to make 2 passes. And then, of course, I pre-cut the blanks. So what I do is I'll take the smaller size, because I'm doing the bottom. So it's a 1/2 inch straight cut bit, and then I'll just do it. Let's see. Did 5/8 do it? 5/8 is a little bit too big. So there you go. Got to do the 1/2 inch, and then I'll run 2 passes. That's the only ones I got, right? Yep, that's the only ones I got. Let's see if this is. That's a 1/2 inch as well. So maybe one day I'll buy the right size router bit. But anyway, so for some of you who might make your own things, you know that a 2x4 is about 1/8 inch too wide for your frames. So all I do is offset, and so that 1/8 inch, and then I cut that off on the back end. So that gives me the basic outline. So I know it's offset. And I'll set up my saw to cut this bottom one first. And then, not my saw, but my router table to cut the bottom one first. And once I'm happy with that, but I'm gonna do it on the test piece first. And once I'm happy with the test piece, then I'll cut all of the blanks. Okay, I can see this first pass. Looks rather acceptable. It's even on both sides, which means my fence is flush. So what I can do, and it's gonna seem like it's so much, but I'll take the first pass on each of my blank pieces, and then I'll go and adjust the fence to do the second pass, do the second pass on the test piece, and then each step I gotta adjust it on here since I don't have the correct size blade where I can do it in one pass. I may have to measure that and order it the right size so I can do it all in one pass for the top and one pass for the bottom. I'll write that in my mental notes. Okay, what I did was cut off fresh piece, and now I'll measure it again. put my lines. The front end feels good. So now I know I can make the first pass of the big side of all of my blanks. What I will do, I'm going to mark these blanks so that I know what sides go where. Now, just to keep from having to mark all of the sides, both sides with your standard, I just write the top edge and I write the bottom. The edge side is not going to get cut off, so that writing is always going to be there. Bees don't care. Okay, now the two that I did mark on the sides, I'm going to cut them first, just to make sure my fence doesn't move and everything is right. So the edge is going to go to the back of the fence on the top of the bar. I'll do that first. So that's what this table's set up for. Now, just so you know, if I had the right size bit, the right width, then I could just do one pass and be done with it. I'm not that fortunate yet. I will measure it and see if I can find a bit that's that size. And that would make making these sides a whole lot easier. However, I got to work with what I got, so we're doing one at a time. That was the top edge at that height. So now I got to raise it to the correct height and do a second pass. And it's pretty much smack on with the height, dead smack on. And it doesn't, okay, so yeah. So now I can do all 7 pieces. And believe me, if I wasn't recording, I would just be like an assembly line, a lot faster. However, stopping to record and showing you how I do it and explaining takes some time. So we'll do all 7 of those and get done with those. So first pass is done. Now I just have to readjust to do the second pass. You can't just do this because it would be off. So you always want to put the wood the same way, hold it in the same orientation, makes it for a better cut, better system. So now I'll adjust the fence to go to the back line here. Okay, my test piece looks fairly good. The line is barely showing on that side and that side. I'm gonna go and get a top bar and see how it feels. Okay, I got a top bar and I got a bottom bar just when I get ready to test that. I'll just stick it on the side here. But for the top, it should, like, it's got those ears, so if it fits in between, you're good to go, and this one doesn't. So, being as I left the line on both sides, I got to cut this side a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to have to go back to the beginning, and I want to cut off of this side now. So I may have to recut all of those first pieces. However, I can just make one pass because I'm only nibbling the edge. So that's the thing. It's tedious. Now I know there's a better way, and I probably could have done it easier on the table saw. That fits the way I want it to fit. So I will cut all of those pieces. This is my first cut. Oh, sorry. Oh. This will be really the first cut position. Maybe I'll mark it on my saw to make it easier. I'm gonna go get a fine Sharpie. Okay, I actually got a couple of Sharpies, and I marked just a line, and I'll write on it first and then second, first top, second top, first bottom, second bottom, like that. So that was all 7 again for the first pass all over again. So now I got to set up for the second pass. I probably could just name them T1, T2, and then B1 and B2. I will start the bottom for the bottom bar. Okay, I measured for the bottom, taking into account the inlay here, the in cut, or whatever you want to call it, and then the fact that this edge is on the edge, so it'll be a little bit wider foot when you look at it. But we'll take care of that later in one of the next few steps. So again, we use the same. This was the top edge. We use the bottom against here, and that's how we cut. Okay, so the top notch and the bottom notch are in place. Let's check my standard here. It's there. It's gonna be there. So now I gotta take off 1/8 of an inch and then the cutout. So how do I do that? Let's show you. So what has to be removed is on this side. So I take off. So what I do is I mark this side, and I know I got to take 1/8 of an inch all the way off. So when I do that, these lines got to go all the way across from one side to the other. So that when I cut it off, I know that's the side to cut. So I switched to my table saw because I'm gonna have to slice these the 6-inch piece down to this, so I can make my blanks. And the easiest way to measure for that is to take one, pick up this that I dropped. To take one, stick it between the blade and the fence, and just butt the fence up against it. Lock the fence down, and now every time I pass through with my blank, I should come out with the right size, the right thickness. Let's check it out. Let's see. I got to go get a push stick though. What I will use for a push stick is another medium. Feels like it's a little bit too thick, but I'm going to check it. A little bit too thick. Let's go over. Eighth of an inch. It fits better, however, very tight at the bottom, at the top. Very tight at the top and kind of loose at the bottom. I'm not liking the bottom. However, I glue and pin, so I have plenty of, let's see. But thick-wise, that's perfect. Now, once I cut all of these, they're gonna fall. They're gonna be 100 of them, however many, down there. The thing is, I marked on this side of the board, the side that I gotta take 1/8 of an inch off. So when I look at the side, I'll be able to see these 5 lines going across. So I know that's my cut side. And at the top, I put 2 red lines. And that way I know that that's the top of the, and the bottom. And on the top I marked on the side that's not gonna get cut. So all it is keep track of the way your pieces are. That way you don't make any mistakes and you don't waste wood. So we'll start the process. This is the thinnest piece, and that's the last piece that came off. So we have enough. 1, 2, 3. So I have 11 pieces here. So each blank I can do 10 frames, 10 and a half frames technically. And so this is what I was saying about lining them up correctly, right? So all of these obviously would be that side, but let's see here. Put the 2 red stripes, and red stripes. So now, even though these are jumbled up, they don't spell out anything, but I know this is the one side that needs the 1/4 inch taken off, and this is the side that I don't cut because it's got the red. And so 1, 2, 3, 5 and a half frames. So 5, 10, 11, 22, 33. There's like 38 frames that I can build with the blanks that I have. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna cut them all up to this point. You don't need to see that, but I'll knock that out. Okay, basically I have a bucket full, probably there's about 77 of them, of my pre-blanks for my side. There's 3 more steps really. I gotta take 1/8 of an inch off of this side, which are the sides with the 5 lines. And you can see my 2 lines up here, so this is the top. So I take 1/8 of an inch off here, all the way the entire length. And then I cut the notches, you know, from the top to the bottom, how it tapers in. So the 1/8 of an inch I do with the table saw, and I just set it at 1/8 of an inch and run it through all the way through. Same thing, 77 times. And then, which some people say, well, why didn't you cut the 1/8 of an inch when you had it in the full blanks? But my saw blade doesn't go up that high, and that's not as safe. So I'll do the extra steps and live with it. You know, I do this once every few months, maybe once every 5-6 months. So, you know, it's not that much. So it's not that much extra. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut these 1/8 of an inch off, and you just got to make sure you cut the correct side, which is this side, which is why I marked it with the 5 lines. So I'll sit this down here. So I'm cutting, basically you're cutting those 5 lines off. Or however you want to mark yours, you mark it. That's just what I do. And we know the bottom is narrower than the top notch, but I also, the 2 red lines, I mark my top notch. But anyway, so let's get this 1/8 of an inch down. That's perfect. I'll do that 77 times. And then you can see, no, it's not perfect. It's close to perfect. Close is not close enough. Now it should be perfect. But I'll do that the rest of the times and get back to you. Okay. All of these, I'll save most of this, but little 1/8 scraps, they'll either go inside my smoker or the fire pit or something like that. They won't go to waste. I'll use them for whatever. But anyway, now, let's show you. I cut these already, but these should all be symmetrical. In other words, the same distance here, the same distance here. Now all I got to do is cut the shoulders out, and that's going to be on the router. So I'm going to clean up and get that set up. Okay, wait. Right now, I know it's probably about 75 or 80 of you guys saying, well, why didn't you just plug in your shop vac to the back of your saw? And the reason is I'm limited with electrical outlet power. I can't run both the saw and the vacuum at the same time. I'll trip my breaker because everything on in that storeroom over there it's all 110, but it's just one outlet, really. So yeah, that's why I can't. I probably could have ran a separate extension cord to the house to a separate, a different outlet. What do you call that? Circuit, but that's too much. So I'm just gonna clean up and yeah, and maybe one day if I get an electrician to come and bring like an auxiliary panel so I can do both storerooms on an auxiliary panel, separate, independent from the house. That might be a thing, but because I'm not going to do it, I'm not electrical certified, and so yeah, we won't have to worry about that. Yeah, so that's why. Just because I know it's probably eating you up. Why didn't he just plug this in? Believe me, I wish I could. And so when I finish this, I'm gonna take a quick shop vac shower, as I call them, and then I'll set up and show you my last step. I'll show you a couple of passes of the last step, and then I'll just do them all, and you won't have to watch all of it. And then I'll close this out a little bit later on. All right, let me get back to cleaning. Okay, you saw me suck up all of that stuff. Let's look inside the vacuum real quick. Somehow these gloves got in there, but let's look in there. Oh, hardly anything in there. What in the wide world of sports? Where'd it go? Oh, let's see there. Oh, you got one of those cyclone vacuum things. I sucked up these gloves a long time ago, but let's see how this works here. With this vacuum. So I don't have to clean the filter on here as much. It all goes in this cyclone vacuum here, and you can see the level is up here somewhere. Look in there, all of that sawdust in there. So I can take this and whoops, get rid of it. Not yet. I'll get the rest of it cleaned out. Okay, just to show you that. That's my cyclone. Okay, I did a little bit of cleanup. I'm good, you know. Got the router table set up. I got to cut the notch part of the sidebars. And so what I did was So now I have a symmetrical blank here. Now, remember the 2 red stripes, we know that's the top. And then the bottom is here. It's a little bit thicker. The opening's a little bit smaller, it's wider here. So what I gotta do is cut down part of the bottom on both sides. So there's 77 of these things, that's 77, that's 154 passes on the saw. I mean on the router. Now my router table, I have a little, the back fence can be moved out. So it's moved out like an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch, so that when I cut this, it'll still ride on here and it won't like kick in. And I may have to adjust it a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how it cuts. But let's get a couple, one test piece. I gotta plug it in. That's better. And so now, 152 more times. Oh, and the back end down here, there's a stop block, so it knows when to stop. So as long as you remember that the 2 red pieces are the top, and that's the part you know, so I always start with the top, flip it over, do it, and then I'm done. So we'll do that, and I'm gonna get a second bucket to put them in. Okay, I'm gonna clean up my mess here and then call it a day. This is all I do to do my sides. Well, that's not all, but that's a lot. So I sure hope Jim from Vino Farms gets those plastic XL frames or whatever he's calling them, the extra deep frames that he's making. I hope he gets them done. I'll definitely purchase probably 100, you know, who knows. Anyway, I've got enough here to make at least 35 of my XL frames. And, you know, give or take, because some of them, the knots are in the wrong place and they may break. Or they may not, you know, so, but whatever, it's enough. And what you don't see that I do is I drill holes in the sides, just like some of them comes with holes. I'll either drill 4 or 5 holes in the side, and I wire them when I'm doing natural comb. Just go wire back and forth, and that's it. I got a kit for that, and same wiring kit that you would use if you do the better comb. I do it for natural comb. That gives it a little bit more structure. When the bees, they build their natural comb around the wire anyway. When I use foundation, I got those blocks. I showed you that before. You can look back in some of my past videos where I glue 2 of the blocks somewhere on the sides, and I'll have the medium frame foundation at the top and the deep at the bottom, or vice versa. And that's where I move those blocks. So I showed you how I make those blocks and how I glue them on in the past video as well. So yeah, that's it. So I'm going to close this one out. I want to thank everybody for checking out the videos, and I hope this helps somebody who wants to try these extra deep frames. I don't know how the bug farmer, I didn't watch his video to see how he makes his, but I know Jim from Vino Farms, he puts some extra gussets in the corners, and he does a few extra to make them really stiff. Now they held up, or they have been holding up for about, this is the 3rd year I'm using them, the 3rd season. So 4th season keeping bees, 3rd season using these. Anyway, all right, I'm rambling. I'm gonna stop rambling. The stop block worked. I don't know, maybe I need a different route a bit to keep them from splitting. I don't know. Or maybe I need to quit cheaping out and buy a dado set. And if you had a dado set and a table saw, you can run them in like this. You just have the dado blade spinning. You just take off that bit, flip it over, good to go. I don't have that. So anyway, that's it for now. Clean up my mess, empty out my shop vac, or the little cyclone thing part of it. And tomorrow I'm gonna probably take a look at all of the bees. Happy Father's Day for those of you who that applies to. Or if you claim it, you know, might be a fur parent, you know, whatever. But happy Father's Day for y'all. And yeah, that's it. All right, so that's it for Jimmy's Neighborhood Bees. I'm Jimmy. Have fun with your bees. And if you build your own equipment, have fun doing that too. All right, peace, y'all.